everyone. My name is Davina San, and I'm a student here at Palm Beach Atlantic University in West Palm Beach, Florida. With me is Dr. Lane Cohey, and we are so excited to share with you guys the new book that he wrote, which is The Disquieted Soul. And here's our Q&A. Beginning our way down the V on the path of discovery, in Chapter 1 you've titled it Introspection. What is this about?
So I think most people who know me as a pretty introspective person, maybe a little too introspective. But I think we have to take a real examination of ourselves if we're going to look at what some of these seeds of disquiet are. If we're struggling with being overbearing, if we're struggling with over-control, if we're struggling with being too demanding, if we're struggling with some of the addictions that we talked about in the introduction. And so that requires us to be introspective and to really take a deep look at, exactly what is going on. And that's really the purpose of setting up this chapter.
You have a section in this chapter called The Nature of the Disquieted Soul. We talked a little bit about that in the introduction, but can you elaborate a little more?
So I think a couple of quotes from the book, really just reading the quotes will help the most. The disquieted soul is constantly worried and dissatisfied. It is impatient, overdriven, and reckless. It moves from one thing to the next, seeking and pursuing that one thing or person it believes will bring complete happiness. It worries about unforeseen threats and obsessively tries to control imagined circumstances. It hungrily seeks to overachieve, all the while often feeling devalued and unappreciated. It feels needless levels of misunderstanding and rejection and immerses itself in self-pity. The disquieted soul lives in a world of disillusioned extremes, seeking invented ideals this life cannot offer. It is often talented and successful by the standards of the world, but it is incapable of enjoying its own success. Now, that may seem a little bit over the top, it's very strong, but I think those who have kind of lived that and are always on a path, the hyper-successful, the people who are always having to prove something, I think that some of that might very well resonate with folks.
Definitely. In this chapter, you also introduce pride and shame. I know that's a recurring theme in this book, and can you just elaborate a little bit more on why they're important?
I think that disquiet basically grows in the garden of shame and pride. Mm-hmm. And let's start with shame. Let's think about some shame statements. You're a total failure, or whatever it is, whatever you do is not good enough, mm-hmm. or nobody really wants you or desires you. Those are shame statements. And what do we do with that? Well, some of us run to the corner and hide. We run into the shadows. Others of us want to prove all the doubters wrong, right? And so we stand up in the mountaintop and try to prove ourselves as much as we possibly can. Well, what is that? That's pride. Either way we go, it plants the seeds basically for disquiet. So throughout the book, I come back to shame and pride over and again because I think this is really the breeding ground, ultimately our sense of self, that needs to be remedied in order to be able to deal with a disquieted soul. I'm not selling perfection here. I am believing, though, that as David tells us, that we can learn to be still and to quiet our souls. And I think that is a spiritual journey that we absolutely can go on, even in the midst of life's disharmony.